Brendan, should we say where we just were before we came in to record?
I think so. Did you feel like someone was watching you?
I didn't, and I wish that
You're having
did.
shower, Mitch.
Oh, so he didn't know that you...
No, he didn't know I was there.
So I was
a little bit creepy, man.
I was at my work. It was a Christmas party we were putting on for clients.
Which I didn't know that, by the way. I didn't know that detail. So I'm not stalking a Christmas party.
Who's that random guy in the corner?
But it's a trivia night. I'm there to host, a segment of it, and I'm dressed up.
You're a reindeer.
Yeah, I was a reindeer.
I think they call him Rudolph, Mitch.
Yep, I was the only one with a blinky nose. The only one that committed. Thank you. And I was already way over time what I told you boys that I was going to run. And then I've seen food there, and I'm like, oh, I'm running too late. I'll just chow down this food. And I smashed it down. And I got up, left, said thanks, bye to the boss. And I walk out and just start running down the stairs. And I hear this bloke behind me. He's like, oh, yeah, nice tail. And I'm like, yeah, cheers, mate. As I'm running down the stairs. So I didn't give him a proper look. Halfway through the car park, and the same bloke goes, oh, yeah, I bet you don't even know who I am. And I'm like, why the fuck would I? It's fucking Brendan. He'd been sitting out the room.
Just sinking piss, boys. Get a few schooners into me.
That's so unlike you before a record.
And I'm like, oh, he's ready to go. He's ready. He's like talking to people. I can tell. I've been friends with the guy for over 15 years. So I'm like, he's getting ready to go. Don't you fucking sit down. What are you doing? Oh, okay. He's tucking in. Fair enough. Just can chow. The man can chow when he needs to.
Look,
There's one thing he does quickly.
You know what else I did?
It's not sex.
Get Into Gates. We are back, episode 12, Fire and Water. We've got the full team here. My name is Mitch. We've got Matty.
Yo.
Brendan.
Hello.
And the reason why we're all here, newbie Rhys. What's doing?
Why am I last this time?
You're always the last one
feel
here. 'Cause
gypped.
I feel like you're the most important. We're saving you, mate.
stop.
I think you know what? I always get confused because you go Matty, Rhys, and the newbie. And I'm like, hang on, I'm not newbie. But you were still on Rhys.
Oh,
so
right. So
I like that order.
I've switched it around a little bit.
No, it's good.
It's
Leave
still
it
not
till
as bad
last.
as when you
Makes
weren't
sense.
here and I had to sit in your chair and I've gone to introduce these two and I've looked at Rhys and said Brendan's name and then looked at Brendan and said Rhys's name.
And no one in
And both of them just kind of froze and went, what? Who?
And you
just went
introduced
with it.
yourself
Who
as
is
Mitch,
this?
and where's Matty?
I'm pretty excited, boys.
Yep.
Fire and Water, one of my favies of
No.
season one.
Babies?
Well, you guys have been talking about it the last couple of weeks. You
It
kept
shouldn't
mentioning...
even be called Fire and Water. It should be called this.
What fate, Amaroka?
The first time I watched this, I must have been tripping or maybe drunk. Or maybe I was just up late. But this guy had me on edge, the creepy fish guy.
What was his
Anyway,
name?
sorry, Mitch,
Nim?
were we going to preface this with an intro of the back of the DVD? We
Sure.
did this the first few times and we thought it was lame, but I like it.
I do. I like it.
All right, well, here we go. Fire and Water. The SG-1 team is transported to a planet of opposites. The home of the sole survivor of an aquatic race, Teal'c, O'Neill and Carter return to Earth shell-shocked and disturbed. Can the team recover to find Daniel and attempt rescue?
That's good.
Planet of opposites. What?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I haven't heard anyone use the term shell shock since the Ninja Turtles in the 80s.
Yeah.
But that's a good reminder because I totally forgot that they were shell-shocked mother coming back from that episode, from that planet.
Yeah, but according to Hammond, the best treatment for PTSD is just another mission.
Oh, get that.
Hey? I know how to get that out of here. Go back in there. Hey, how's
Back
that?
on the horse.
That's World War One shit there.
Yeah. He's old school, old Jenny Hammond.
Jesus. I got flashbacks to Batman vs Superman.
Oh, dear.
I know, with that
Why
funeral.
are we
okay?
talking about that?
That,
You okay?
that funeral scene.
Oh, no.
And then
How great was it?
I'm like, surely he cannot be dead. I have to sit through another funeral scene. If he's alive, I'm going to cut sick.
Yeah, that was a... And then, was that the one where they put the wreath into the
Yeah.
event horizon? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so good.
What I actually found myself liking about that was it's the first time that we've ever really seen them show a little bit of fear and maybe a bit of reality about what they're doing. It's like, shit, like we actually can die on these missions. Like they've watched SG6 or SG9, lose a member, have a member come back and be completely mentally really. But it was like they've come back and went, oh shit, just because we're like the top of the line SG1, we can actually still like suffer some casualties and shit. And you're right, it did go on a lot longer than what you expected it would.
Yeah, it was like into the first act
Yeah.
before you really got to Well, that's what it felt like anyway. They're all coming back. That like Jack comes back through the gate. He sits down. They're like, he's dead. And then they're all quite emotional. And then Jack just turns around with, Daniel's dead, sir. I'm like, could have delivered that a little
Yeah,
better.
so it builds up really well, and you're kind of going, oh, God, what happened to Daniel? What happened to Daniel? And then you find Daniel, and then it gives you this shit-ass line read that just takes all the drama out of what's actually happened to him.
Jack? Sam, Teal.
It's like he goes, Jack,
Yeah.
and then he gets really upset and goes, Sam, Teal! Like he's Scarlett O'Hara. And he's like, oh, my, how will I get by? I was like, mate, come on.
It's so dated watching it again. I don't care. I love it. But
Yeah, it's
a
one
lot
of those,
it.
it's a car accident. You can't look
Yeah.
away. Like you just
Season one
you've
is
got to look.
Season one is. I forgot how many. I wouldn't say bad episodes, but I was just expecting more from season one.
Just
'cause-
filler, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're kind of experimenting on what works and what doesn't, and it does take them, I think, probably end of season 2, midway through season 3 to really sort of find their groove and get a good rhythm going.
I think the
interesting-
finale of season one was spectacular.
That was great. Yeah, that was great.
It's interesting you guys say that because obviously you guys quite frequently just like start watching random episodes of SG1. The last time I watched SG1 season 1 was the start of like a big 10 season, binge sort of thing. So it's been like 10 or 15 years. So I probably don't have the disdain for a lot of these earlier episodes that you guys do. And I actually found myself watching this one. I'm like, oh, it's kind of refreshing to watch an episode where there wasn't one bullet fired. There was no fights. I don't even think there was a punch thrown, really. Like the alien blasted Daniel across, the room at one point.
with
But
that freaky.
yeah.
That's what freaked me out.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's why I like this episode because that dude was freaky.
And there's
The
no
fish
mythos
dude.
you have to worry about either. It's kind of just this little standalone,
Yeah.
little bottle episode that you just, you can just enjoy without having to know the histrionics. Like that's obviously why we're doing it chronologically for Rhys' sake. I mean, if we sat Rhys down to watch like an episode from season 9, he'd just be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought when he came through back into the cell through the door and he was in the water, I'm like, oh, is this Atlantis? Is this a city under the sea? And then got pretty disappointed when it wasn't.
No, it was just Iraq. City of Babylon. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
Just a geography lesson.
I'm just going
Do
to
we need
distance
to do this?
myself completely from that comment.
Well, we learned that he wants to know what fate Amaroka.
Oh Jesus!
I don't.
If I hear
was
that
it
phrase
Amaroka?
again-
Feel fake to Amaroka.
And yeah, and then so he asks Jackson. He has the knowledge of Babylon, the ancient city of Babylon, where Amaroka was supposedly living, and
Well, it's funny you say that because I made something.
Oh shit!
Jesus.
I just now. Okay, so full disclosure, I watch these episodes a lot earlier than you guys because I don't really have a lot going on outside of what we do here. So I made this legitimately a month ago, and I made it, and I've done something to it, and I forgot why I did it, but I can't.
Were you playing the Stargate drinking game?
But
Brendan's
I can't.
one?
Well, it's funny
Yes,
you say
you
that
were.
Bottle of
because,
bourbon per episode.
because the idea behind this is we know that Brendan likes to have a few drinks before he watches Stargate
Phew.
and steps in front of a microphone. So it was going to be a What Fate Amaroka drinking game. So every time they say Amaroka, Brendan
boys.
drinks. The part I'm unsure about is I've put a bit of music underneath it, which is the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire theme, and I can't for the life of me figure out why that's there.
lock it in.
So here it is, the What Fate Amaroka drinking game. I don't know why this music's here, just bear with me. Every time you hear a name, drink.
For a second there, I felt like I was at a blue light disco.
What fate Amaroka?
Reveal
got a
fate
message.
Omaraka. Reveal fate Omaraka.
Drink.
Reveal fate Omaraka.
Oh yeah, and drink.
Omaraka, what is that? Reveal fate Omaraka.
What fate Amaroka? What fate Amaroka?
What is Omaroka? Who is Omaroka?
What fate
I don't know!
Amaroka? Amaroka. Delos.
Fellows.
Bell.
Amaroka.
Omaroka. Omaroka.
Amaroka.
Omaroka.
I haven't doubled any of these. These are all in the
So is
episode.
Amaroka? Amaroka. Yes. Amaroka. Oh, the god Bellis. Under the place of Amaroka.
Where was the sex scene?
He killed her.
And that's all we've got time for.
She's dead.
Fate.
I still got-
Charlie.
Well, your brain chemistry has been seriously compromised.
Like I said, I'm sure I had something really funny to come off the back of that, but I could not tell you what it is.
Well, I am wasted.
Well, yeah, that's more Great Scots than Back to the Future. That is.
Yeah, and I didn't double any of those. They are all unique.
That's
That's
amazing. I
which
knew
is-
there was a lot, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it took until the second half of the episode, at least of those grabs, where Daniel said it the same way twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amaroka, Amaroka, Amaroka.
Amaroka, Amaru. Yeah. Took him a while to get
When
the
he goes
pronunciation.
Bellos, and then he goes Bellos, Bellos. No, not Bellos,
Look at
Bellos.
that. When Teal comes up and goes, the gold, and someone goes, the Gould, it's like, no, actually the way he's just said it then to you. Yeah, the thing about that guy, him saying that phrase, what fate Amaroka, was that was in broken English, whereas I felt like everything else that he said to Jackson in English, he said in fully fledged sentences.
yeah.
But when he, instead of saying, what is the fate of Amaroka, or what happened to Amaroka, what fate Amaroka, it's like the most basic way of him being able to say that. But I guess that was the first thing that he said to Daniel, right?
Yeah.
And that was like, whoa, he can say 2 words in English. So I guess they couldn't, blow the surprise that he was able to speak fluent English, even though the last contact that he had with someone based on Earth was 4,000 years ago, when surely at the location they were at, they probably weren't speaking American English, which
No.
we've established
Perhaps not.
is an ongoing problem,
Yeah,
but
which-
whatever.
Which was funny because as soon as he revealed the script that he wanted Daniel to translate and recommend, Daniel was like, "Oh, it kind of looks like a." And obviously I wrote it down. I'm not going to remember this. Akkadian cuneiform adopted by Sumerians and used in Azure and Babylon. I'm like, of course it is, Daniel.
course.
Well done.
It does kind of look like that.
boy.
You got the right one.
That was
Imagine
right.
Jack trying to do that.
That was my second note. I'm like, lucky for him, he took Daniel. But then obviously in the flashback sequence, we realised that he sort of tested Daniel, or at least Daniel started doing finger paintings in the sand, and he realised that he was onto a good thing. But yeah, like he could have been in real strife, because I can imagine the amount of questions that Jack would have asked. Like, I don't know what Amaroka is. God damn it!
For crying
For
out loud.
crying out loud!
Go
Stop
out
saying
your own
Amaroka.
Roka.
I'm a Maroka.
I've also got a bit of audio, Matty. I don't know whether you guys picked up on this. Maybe you didn't because it wasn't real, but I was listening to it. I'm watching it today, and Walter comes into Hammond and gives him some kind of documents or something.
Readouts on P8X 362, sir. Looks good, especially the mineral scans.
I'll pass this on to SG4. They'll be geared up and ready for departure by 1100 hours. Thank you, Sergeant.
Off-world activation. Repeat. Off-world activation.
That sounds a shit like Gary Jones, who plays Walter. It's like they've grabbed an old piece of audio and played it. And like the character that's saying that over the PA is standing in the room
really?
listening to it. Now, I don't know that that's him. It just sounded the same way that Walter says it all
Maybe
the time.
they've just gone, you know what? He sounds really good saying that. Let's just record him
Yeah.
and we'll make that an automated alarm.
Hit the button.
That's part of it, yeah.
Hit the Walter button.
We need to hire a voiceover guy to say this. Oh, that. Just get Walter.
He's sitting there.
He's not doing anything.
I'll do it.
Yeah. Reaching and grabbing on all his buttons and stuff. He's fine. He's got.
I love
he's got
it.
10 minutes.
I love it how Rhys knows Walter's name even though it hasn't been credited yet.
Yeah.
He's still known as Gate Technician.
I honestly, when we talk about Walter, I can't put a face to his name. I don't,
Oh, okay.
I don't really know who he is.
Good.
Just know him as Walter.
I know we had a laugh about the whole wreath thing and the funeral that wasn't really about a guy that was
And the
actually
wake.
deceased, but
No.
and the wake too. Yeah, that was a bit of fun.
yeah.
O'Neill went to town on
Oh,
bloody-
that was great.
the general's car, didn't he?
But you know
That's
why
my
he did?
crime,
Because I don't know if this is something else you guys picked up. But when a couple episodes ago, what's the thing that Daniel wears in his head? What do we call it?
Oh, the do-rag.
The do-rag, right? That was the introduction of the do-rag in like episode 4. This is the introduction to Teal'c's little straw hat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've
never
got a
seen
note
that
written
before.
down here.
Yeah,
Teal'c's
boy,
hat.
Teal'c's hat. This is the
Teal'c's
first time we
hat.
sit there. He comes in looking like a fucking
Terrible.
boss. No, man, he looks awesome.
I think it's meant to be like that.
Yeah. I mean, if I wore that hat, I would look terrible. But imagine when you're trying to hide an alien symbol, then sure.
I think if anyone could make that hat look cool, it would be Teal. 'Cause it looks terrible.
I've got news for you, Rhys. They only get more ridiculous.
Oh, great.
It's a running gag. They only get more ridiculous.
But he and Sam walk in and he's like, I do not understand this custom. And it's like, oh no, we, get pissed and we eat heaps of food and stuff. And what did he say on Abydos? They, not Abydos, on Chulak, they don't eat for like 3 or 4 days or something like that. Like, that's their tradition. And then they go over to Jack. He's like, hey, you want a drink? And Sam's like, yeah, I'll have one. And he cracks out a beer and starts pouring it into a cup. He has got a 4-bottle spirit dispenser set up on that table. And I'm like, how wild does your wakes get? Like, he had vodka, he had bourbon, he had rum set up, he had some tequila or some shit. It was a 4-bottle dispenser. And I'm like, man, I want to have them just in general when mates come over. You've got one at a funeral post. What the
And one of your mates died.
He lost a child. He knows how to drink right.
Oh, Jesus. He just wanted to get into Carter's panties.
So he gives her a Coors Light. That was probably a bad way to start it off, you know. Get her on the hard shit, mate. Yeah. But I did actually like the visit to the house because we haven't seen O'Neill's house since they went and picked him up. You know, he's in the treehouse, the roof, essentially, in episode 1.
We also haven't seen the general out of uniform.
Yeah.
He had a polo shirt. I'm like, I can see your chest hair, man. Do those buttons up.
He's about to go play golf. But and then also Daniel's place. And you get the feeling that these guys are allowed off base, obviously, quite a bit. Because up until this point, it really feels like they're locked down there in quarters like Teal'c is, whereas Daniel had a diary written for every planet that he'd ever been to. He had a really clean fish tank full of fish, so obviously he goes back there quite often to feed his pets and things like that. But like full houses, and he had skulls and shit. Like, it was like a little mini museum. So I like that first sort of look into their personal lives a little bit to go into both of their houses, which is kind of cool.
Is that, I can't remember now, is that the first time Teal'c's gone out? Because he was... no.
For like a
Broca Divide.
For a non...
Yeah.
For a non-mission, I guess. Yeah, this is the first time he's just been allowed out.
The crystal one.
Whatever.
Cold Lazarus.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll let that wide open for you, obviously.
Everyone's just looking at me.
We're all just like going through our notes, and Rhys just pulls it out of his ass.
To be honest, I've only watched, this is the 12th episode, so I mean, if I can't remember them.
I liked Tara Rothery, who plays Dr. Janet Fraser. Or Dr. Fraser to you, Rhys, because you don't know her name's Janet yet. But just in case you didn't know.
Dr. Fraser.
But I love it how, I can't remember who it was now. I think it must have been Carter, and she was shell-shocked. And
as per the DVD case.
As per the DVD case. Thank you, DVD case. And she's cold and shivering. She yells out to one of the orderlies, "Can we get another warm blanket over here, please?" I'm like, what other type of blanket do you have? Can we get some cold blankets in here?
And the buffest nurse you will ever see in your entire life in the foreground. He's like a bodybuilder. He should have been a Jafar. He's got like pythons coming out of his scrubs. And I was like, the hell is he doing there? He should be on the front lines, not fetching blankets.
I'm the warm blanket guy. I keep him warm.
Stop mourning Daniel. We've got his replacement right there. Now we can have 3 soldiers on the team.
He gets the blanket and just cuddles him with those massive guns and just goes, "You're going to get warm now." I do have a note here, and like I said, I watched this episode over a month ago, but I've just got a note here that says, was General Hammond hitting on Fraser at the wake? But I can't remember what.
Oh, yeah, because I think he put his arm around her shoulder and they went off.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, that was because she was full of vodka and bourbon and tequila and whatever else was on that table. She was full of Hammond.
Instead of a Long Island iced tea, that's known as the Cheyenne Mountain iced tea.
Like, I know we touched on the fact that he speaks English and whatever. We just have to get used to that with this show. But I found it strange that we never saw Daniel show any great surprise that this very non-human looking alien was very familiar with Babylon. And
he's got a fish tank back at home, so he's seen that before.
He wakes up at the end of the episode and he's actually just passed out after being at Jack's place, obviously, and he's been dreaming about that really weird fish in his tank.
For the first 20 minutes when he came to, he thinks he's been shrunk down and he's living inside his own fish tank.
He's a sea monkey.
He doesn't know he's on another planet.
But I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I quite like this episode, but again, I haven't watched it in so long. And Rhys, I mean, Black or White, we haven't really asked you what you thought. I don't think, but you guys, like you said, in the general or in the grand scheme of things, that it's not a great and memorable episode.
I think if you're comparing it between the other 200 odd episodes you've got to choose from, it's not going to win top any lists. But of the 12 we've gotten through so far, it's not too bad. I mean, it's no Broca Divide or no First Commandment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's it's all right. It's fine.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't really get it. I don't like it to me it ended very abruptly, and I'm just like, oh, is that it? Like, you could have just swum out that whole time and
I do have the final scene.
gone what? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how he got out. He swam to the surface and said, "Hey, don't shoot him." And then he's like, "Okay, you can go. Okay, cheers."
Yeah, I feel like as soon as Nem found out that he was sort of Amaroka was dead, and well, it's been 4,000 years or something, which you assume she's probably
She would have come back by now, buddy.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I can only assume that was just to introduce, I don't know, that species or that technology that he used into the universe.
But he kind of loses his menacing nature once he finds out Amaroka's dead. He's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's like he was so intimidating and volatile at the start, and he kind of just like, oh, okay. And not even he didn't even really see him mourn. He was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He was so very vicious at the start, and he's like, "Tell me everything," and then Daniel's like, "All right, well, you know, do your technology shit with my head," and he's like, "Oh, but it will hurt you. You know, you might die." Like as if he was caring about him. I'm just like, okay, that just contradicts everything that you were throwing him across the room for.
Well, I think. Well, yeah, that's true, and I think he didn't want to damage the knowledge, not so much. I don't think he really cared about.
Do you know what
Daniel.
it really was?
Yeah, okay.
He just looked into Daniel's baby blue eyes. And just went, I can't hurt you, darling. That's.
Yeah, we lost his specs. Like he didn't have his glasses the entire episode.
This is the first time all the lady Stargate fans went, "Oh, hello, Daniel Jackson," because he kind of had the scruffy look, and you take the glasses off and slick
his
the hair
shirt was
back.
wet.
And yeah, you sort of get that sort of chiseled chin that he's got, and it's just like it's funny to think he could be a leading man, but he's always been typecast as the nerdy guy because they just put a pair of fake glasses on him and give him a floppy haircut, and he's like, oh yeah, he's just that nerdy guy.
Yeah, because last week we had the first Teal'c episode. Is this like really the first Daniel episode that we've had? Like it's always been either a team thing or it's been a Jack episode. We've had like 3 or 4 Jack-centric episodes so far. Is this really the first Daniel one? Like he had so much screen time by himself.
Yeah,
I think
I guess, I guess it is. Like if you think about Emancipation was the first time like Sam was separated from the team. And I guess, this is the first time that Daniel's had a storyline that hasn't involved the other 3 that we've seen. Obviously, he spent a year on Abydos, but we never saw that. So, yeah, I guess in a way it is. He kind of got the A story, and then the other 3 had the B story, I guess you could almost call it.
For me, like, Torment of Tantalus was definitely kind of Daniel Jackson's, and they refer to that, the meaning of life stuff, quite a fair bit. So, yeah, but this is definitely...
he didn't have any majority of screen time, though, did he? He was still kind of a...
No, he didn't. But to me, like, when I think of Daniel Jackson, I think of him in that room with that meaning of life stuff.
Well, and without giving it away to Rhys, it's, it's obviously the start of a much bigger storyline for Daniel.
Yeah.
It's just laying those
But you can tell that, like, I knew that the first time. He's passionate about it. He loves that kind of gear. So
yeah.
That's what it's about for him.
What I found interesting was when he found out that he could read minds, and Daniel labelled it as technology. If you can read minds, use that technology to read mine and find the information. So it's like, is that that's obviously his scientific mind saying, well, obviously you're not magic. Like there's a science behind it. There's something.
He's not
that
stupid.
You wonder has his experience with
how do you know what's out there?
He's an atheist.
Has his experience with the Gould shaded the way he looks at any other race out there by going, oh, you must just be faking it as much as they are.
Yeah.
And it's not magic, or you're not a god. You just got technology that I can't see.
Yeah, true.
So it'd be interesting to see whether that is a natural ability of Nem's people, or whether it is just a bit of technology.
Yeah. I wish that, none of the other teams saw the tech, or they don't fully remember what happened down there with that sort of technology, do they? They remember being stuck down there, but that memory technology and retrieval of memories and whatnot, and even implantation of memory from Nem, I feel like that should have been a piece of technology that they wanted to know more about and possibly take back to Earth and things. Like, they're always looking for medicines and weapons. Like, surely that might not be something they have an immediate use for, but Christ, I'd like to have a crack at that now, and I'm not part of the military fighting, an alien war or anything like that. Like, that's a very interesting piece of tech, whether it's, even in medical science and brain exploration and things like that, like that's something that, again, I can't remember post this episode what that has to do with anything, if anything, but I feel like it should have been something that they should have revisited, or at least given it, brought back in some way.
Daniel Jackson, being the science guy he is, he should have said, I just helped you out with my mind and shit. Show me how to read minds. Like, that's, if I was going places and I'm like, that is cool, I want to know how to do that. Like, wouldn't you just ask? And if they said no, you just like threaten them or something?
I think this was the main criticism about the whole series because they tried to keep an equilibrium. They tried to have their standalone episodes and never really break that. We saw that in Emancipation where they brought the medicine back and then we never hear of it again. And then it took a fair few seasons before they started to gather more technologies and build better things. And then we're finally like, finally we're getting somewhere here. But I don't know if it was Robert C. Cooper or someone like that. He just decided, that that's where we're going to go. We want that level and we don't want it to change.
Yeah. I kind of felt like they did, for me, tonally, they did play it off in the terms of where I got the feeling that Nem wouldn't really be open to the idea of being allies with them.
Yeah.
Like, he did, attack them and abduct one of them and hold one prisoner and mess with their memories. So there was kind of that standoff where Daniel had to sort of stand in between the two groups and say, no, it's fine. So I feel like Nem
Get the hell out of here.
has developed a bit of a soft spot for Daniel, much in the way that Shaka does, in future seasons. But I feel like Nem was still very standoffish against, Jack and Teal'c and Carter, where they didn't really... And if you think about it, at that point in time, they didn't know... They were going for a rescue mission to go and rescue... Daniel. He just happens to pop up out of the ocean at the right time.
That was easy.
So I feel like they just wanted to get him and get the hell out of it and get out of Dodge. So maybe there was, an unseen mission where, after Daniel's gotten back and been debriefed, they go, well, is it worth us going back?
SG7 went spearfishing.
Yeah. I was a little confused though. I meant to ask a mate of mine who's in the military. I found it very interesting that Daniel got a military funeral, being that he's a civilian. And I really annoyed at myself. I forgot to ask my mate that, would that happen? I mean, he's a civilian, but he is working for the military.
Yeah, but he'd just be a consultant, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He'd be a hired hand.
So I found it weird that he got the...
Send the check to his family and
salute and the flag and
family?
Well, that's it. They presented the flag to Teal'c, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's like, sure.
I just wait for him to look and go, like, look at someone out of the side of his eye. Go, what do I do with this?
We'll give it to the guy that abducted your wife and, gave her away to
How
slave
insulting!
labor.
Like on paper, that is insulting.
Yeah.
And what planet did they dial?
Yeah, it's like, did they dial Nem's planet? At which point you just kind of see just like a wreath sitting
Yeah.
by the Stargate.
Yeah. I'm sure the correct answer is that they dialed a planet that they know, they actually can't get through it. Like the gate is covered or it's completely uninhabited or whatever. But I kind of want to know they just randomly dialed.
Yeah.
Walters just pressed whatever button he wanted, and there's like this really primitive race on the other side going, just looking at the bright lights and shit. And all of a sudden, this ring of plant just falls out
And they think
disappears.
it's a message from their gods, and they put it up in the middle of their town and just start worshipping.
They hang it on their doors every 25th of December.
We're getting back there, and I love it.
I always like to think that they sent it to the bathroom planet. so that they can use it for some...
There's
toilet
There's
paper
a
or something.
callback. Well, that'd be a nice little comfortable seat. I did have a bit of trivia. The guy who plays Nem actually played Councillor Tuplo in the Broca Divide, the guy with the golden, yarmulke.
They're
Right.
similar.
I was about to ask actually whether, like not last week, a couple of weeks ago, and Thor's Hammer, where it was James L. Jones doing the voice, whether or not this guy was an established, sci-fi actor, character actor, or something that you might have known from Star Trek or whatever.
No.
But just because the way that he spoke, I'm like, probably just got a really good voice actor back when they actually used voice actors and not, A-list celebrities.
Well,
to
they
do
had
stuff.
a mold of half of his head already for that little crown that he wore in Broca Divide. So it's like, well, if we've got to
Save
make a
the money.
mold prosthetics, it's like, well, we're halfway there already, and he was fine.
And I had to laugh the second time that you saw him, and he walked in. It was a wide shot, and you saw him walk in. He's got this big head, this giant sort of shoulder pad armor thing,
Swimming cape.
and swimming cape, Green Ranger type setup, and then it like comes back into where his waist is, and then he's two little skinny legs down the bottom, like he's human and stuff. I'm like, you run out of budget. You couldn't alienize his feet.
Like stick with a mid-shot guy.
Yeah. You had it there.
Just going back to what you're saying about, the Star Trek correlation, this episode was actually directed by Alan Eastman, who, Brennan, the only one who else in the room who has actually watched Star Trek. He actually, the guy who directed this episode, directed the Voyager episode Relativity from season 5.
Nice.
And written by
Oh,
Hottie Mick Hotness.
Foxy Catherine Powers.
You can check out what Catherine Powers looks like in the sauciest picture that she's ever had taken of herself on the Get Into Gate Instagram. And you're welcome.
You think that's saucy? You should see the picture I have of her in my head.
Okie dokie, artichokes.
Oh, shit.
What time is it? How's the heart rate going, big fella?
It's time to find out if Rhys has been paying attention.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
It does
practicing
change
that?
every
Right.
time. It slightly changes.
I did notice the first time
Honestly,
you
I
said...
don't remember.
It's like we'd all like to join in, but we don't know what you're going to say each time. So if you could lock down just a phrase, we'll join in with
It
you.
wasn't paying
Just
attention
scat.
the first time I know.
It was listening. Yeah.
If
As Rhys has been listening. And then
Clearly you weren't.
to yourself.
All right. So we got 30 seconds on the clock here. I'm gonna say these are gimmies because they are.
Oh, shit. You always say that.
I know.
Brief candle.
Nope.
Get a 1 in 12 shot. You took it.
Actually, you might get stuck on one of them, but anyway, I only just wrote these now, so I'm just reading through them.
Classic.
Christ.
This is how much preparation we do.
You had a week since we did it.
Listen. I got it off the internet the first time, then I got criticised because I didn't write them. Now I'm going to write them. And what?
Yeah, but do
You
it.
just did it now?
All right. So for the
Yes.
uninitiated,
Hey, you know what? I
Hello.
can't blame that. You and I sat next to each other in grade 11 and 12. And maybe the man I am today.
You guys were at the pub like half an hour ago.
Hey, where'd you think I'd go with the questions from, mate? Jesus.
Oh, brutal.
Pint of Asahi into me. All right.
So for the uninitiated, it's 5 questions for Rhys,
That's right.
based on the episode, not just this episode, but basically anything that he's seen up until now.
Yes.
Time.
Up till this episode.
I gotta
and they're
start
quick fire.
studying
There's
for
no
this.
multiple choice. So if
Yeah.
you don't know the answer, pass. And if we have time, we'll get back to it.
Time starts at the end of your first question.
All right. Finish this sentence. What fate?
That's Amorosa. Omarosa.
What is the name? What is the Stargate called in Goa'uld?
Pass.
True or false? Every DHD in the Gate network has all the Gate symbols.
False.
True or false? Stargate travel is instantaneous.
False.
Who is thought to be dead in the fire and water?
Daniel. And the other one I'm pretty sure is Chupa.
I thought you were going to run out of time.
No.
You spent a lot of time thinking about that one.
Yeah. Chapa-eye.
Very close, man.
Chapa-
Very,
Chapa-
very
Chapa-
good.
Whatever.
Pretty good. 4 out of 5. I'm not giving that one to you.
All right, not bad. Was it 4 out of 5? Good
4 out of
stuff,
5.
Rhys. So we'll
Well done.
do it again in a week's time, where we will be back to talk Hathor.
Oh,
Yeah, we've been.
one of Maddie's favourites again.
I feel like we
Great,
say
I'm
that
looking
every.
forward to it.
Well, we were saying before we turned the mics on, it's funny, when I first got into Stargate, and there were only about 3 seasons, going at the time, Hathor was probably one of my more watched episodes. But now that you've got, 200 plus episodes to go back from, watching it back, I was like, ooh, this show could have gone a very different direction.
Skip.
We'll find out next week. Hathor, that'll be the one, but that was Fire and Water, and we are Get Into Gate. You can find all of our podcasts on SoundCloud and iTunes on the socials. You can hit us up, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, simply at Get Into Gate. Throw us an email if you want. Throw some questions towards Rhys. Help Brendan write some harder
please.
ones.
I need some help.
getintogate@gmail.com.
Writing
4
questions
out of 5,
as well.
buddy, not 5. Don't get cocky.
Oh, you mean help writing questions? Oh.
And of course, Get Into Gate is part of Get Into Geek. You can find all the Get Into Geek and Get Into Gate stuff simply at getintogeek.com. Myself, Mitch _Lewis, Twitter and Instagram. Matty
High Pitch Matty
on
the Instagram.
the Instagram. Brendan
At the Brendan Gibson.
on the Instagram.
Yeah.
And Rhys.
I am at the Flying Gibson on most socials.
I'd get on Twitter, but I just don't get it.
Yeah,
Like,
what
I
other
don't
social
understand.
is that, Rhys?
It's pretty much Instagram and Twitter.
And Grindr.
Grindr. Yeah, given.
And Snapchat.
It's a given.
He's
yeah,
only friends with Lincoln, though, and that's the thing.
No, I'm actually quite popular on Grindr.
Oh, shut up. Everyone loves me on Grindr.
Twitter's pretty much, if you're not famous and you want to keep up with what famous people are doing, Get a Twitter account.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm deleting mine, by the way, just like as a unrelated thing, because I don't do that. That's not why I have Twitter at all.
You are famous. Shut up.
You're the only one I follow.
Jaden Smith, Will Smith's kid, he's got like, how many million followers? I think the only person he follows is like an account that belongs to the Dalai Lama or something. It's like, get your hand off it. Come on.
Follow your dad at least, mate.
Yeah. Please.
Rhys has got an account. I only follow Mitch.
And his mum, she's got updates about Gotham that he's got to keep up to date on.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be watching that show.
Yeah,
I watched the first season. Wasn't as horrible as I thought it was, Gotham.
That was pretty good. I just lost track.
I couldn't get it. It was like, let's do a show about Batman, but we'll take Batman out of it. That sounds awesome.
You're with me? Who's with me?
Yeah!
Who's
I
with
think
me?
I tried to watch the first episode of season 2, and then all of a sudden Gordon's got his gun and this guy with the knife after him, and then he holsters his gun, and I went, okay, that's me.
Yeah,
I'm done.
I gave Ben McKenzie the benefit of the doubt. I'm a big OC fan when I was a kid, so I was like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I couldn't hang around.
I've been meaning to ask you this, Matty. What the is wrong with you?
What?
The OC,
as a
Gossip
kid-
Girl.
No, I watched the shit out of the
I
OC.
do not watch Gossip Girl.
Sorry.
It's Gilmore Girls.
Sorry. Forgive me.
They are very different shows, my friends.
Sex in the City, I'm
No,
sure.
Madam
Hey,
Secretary,
hey.
thank you very much.
Who doesn't like to see Samantha's bush? I mean, come on, guys. Throw it out. No, I'm just... Okay, I'm gonna
Trust you to pick the oldest, sluttiest one. That's
fine.
Do you
sounds
watch
about
The
right.
Bachelor?
God, no. I do
Oh,
watch...
like that's a f***ing sin for you to do.
It's
Actually,
terrible.
Have
I
you
have taste, mind you.
have you watched Mad Men?
I've got
No, I
standards.
don't
Yeah.
like period stuff.
Because your girlfriend's in that, and you see some
Who's
side
my
boob.
girlfriend?
The Gossip Girl chick.
What? I don't watch Gossip Girl.
Whatever your shitty show is that you watch. Gilmore Girls. Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Alexis Bledel?
I don't
That's
know.
because Vincent Carthy's
I don't
her real life
take
husband,
care
and
enough
he's
to
in
know
that
that.
show.
Yes.
No, Lauren Graham's the hot one out of the Gilmore Girls, obviously.
Bang.
But I
Is
did
that the
want to
mum?
say, just when you were talking
Not
about...
anymore, she's not.
No, I mean, not...
yeah, she is.
Oh.
Mate, she's on Netflix next week as a
Oh,
50-year-old.
mate.
I would totally go there.
Oh,
Okay.
She's no Kathy.
You probably still go. Yeah, you probably still go there for the story, but she's not season 2 Lauren Graham,
No,
or
but-
even Evan Almighty.
Hey, whoa.
I'd-
Have we got a closet Gossip Girl over here?
No, I'm
Gilmore Girls! I would still
Got
take
him!
I would still take a 50-year-old Lauren Graham over a 30-year-old Alexis Bledel. Anyway, you mentioned we're so off topic, but you mentioned The Bachelor, and I did want to plug for you guys to watch as well. It's a great TV show called Unreal, and it's it's written by a woman who was actually a producer on The Bachelor in the US for 10 odd years, and it shows you all the seedy, creepy underbelly and the fakeness of those kind of shows. It's excellent, and I recommend everyone go watch it.
Okay,
Yeah, no, it looks like a good.
Let's do that.
It's just one of those little. It's a cool little I think 10 episodes per season, so it's a real quick watch.
Is it a reality TV show? Is it
No. So
Set around
it's
like documentary sort of thing?
no. So it's actors. It's like just a
Oh,
normal
right, yeah.
TV show, but it's set inside like a Bachelor TV show. It's insidious and
Oh,
weird
right,
and
yeah.
mind-blowingly cool.
And you can catch SG1 on Stan, Rhys.
Yes.
That's what you're watching as a newbie. I'm still like rolling around the box sets.
Yes.
Those big, thick, fat box sets
Hell
from
yes.
the 90s, man. They were the best.
Oh, I'll teach you how to condense them.
No, I'm not getting
It's
rid of the
great.
boxes. One of my kids actually ripped the box of season 10, the
rid
box
of
up,
it.
and I'm like, oh, I have to keep you. Your mother would probably miss you. All right, Get Into Geek. We'll be back next week.
GetIntoGeek.com.